Welcome back to Combat Sports Weekly. As usual, the second segment of the show, we'll take a look at national and local headlines as well as highlights. Let's go with the national headlines right away. UFC on Fox 15 Saturday night, Lyoto Machida against Luke Rockhold in what I think is a huge fight.
I like both dudes. I kind of don't know who to pick right now, but I think it's a great matchup. I like Luke and I like Machida.
I think Rockhold's on a run. Machida, of course, he's been a big name in the scene, so it's definitely a toss-up. I think I'm going to go with the upset and go Rockhold for that one.
Okay.
Mikro Kokop made his return to the UFC after 2011 was the last time he lost to Gabe Gonzaga. He made up for that loss and is his first victory in the UFC since 2010. So what do you think about the legend coming back and winning? I know you don't like when older guys keep coming and winning, but I think in this case you're going to say opposite.
I am. I totally am. I'm rooting for him, and I don't know. He's just such a legend, and of course it was a kick, right? Like it's Crow Cup.
Yeah.
Come on.
And the PBC on NBC that took place this weekend, very, very good co-main event and main event. Andy Lee and Peter Quillen actually drew in their contest. Split draw, which is good for the Irishman Andy Lee, who was in Peter Quillen's hometown of Brooklyn. And Danny Garcia and Peterson, of course, a majority decision there in a fight. A lot of people felt close. I personally trust New York's scoring, especially with boxing. Obviously, they don't have MMA.
I don't.
You don't trust New York?
No.
Oh, you've probably experienced bad things there in the past. But nonetheless, it was a pretty good fight. Pretty good fights across the board. Another good fight and a good performance. Roman, a.k.a. Rocky. I guess here Martinez just dominated. Orlando Salido. Look at this shot. I mean, this is a beautiful shot, I think, here. Orlando Salido, a Mexican who actually, fought in Puerto Rico a few times, and Martinez now claims the WBO title. So, Puerto Rico, you got your second current world champion, of course, after Miguel Cotto. Another champion, former champion, yeah. Chavez Jr. is coming back. Guy used to fight at 160 pounds. He's now fighting at light heavyweight, 175.
Hey,
what do you think of this
jump? Just so you know, the older that you get, it's harder to make weight. So, go get it. I'm excited.
I think he's like 20. Isn't he like 28?
It doesn't matter.
He's your age.
It's hard to make weight at my age.
Okay. All right, I'll fill that. I mean, two guys that don't have trouble making any weight, Lucas Matthysse and Ruslan Provodnikov in what should be Fight of the Year on HBO. It's a split site double header here. Ruslan and Matthysse will be fighting in New York, while Thomas Delorme and the 2014 Fighter of the Year, Terrence Crawford, will be fighting in Texas. So it's just loaded weekend, loaded action. It's hard to get all that in one breath. Let's go to the local news. Josh Torres defeated Randy Ganoy by majority decision at the Albuquerque Convention Center in a crowd that was about 1,800 people. WBC USMBC, which makes him a national champion, and now a chance to get ranked in the top 25. What do you think of this victory?
I think it's great, and I am glad that it was a super tough fight. I know people are talking about, oh, it was so close, we don't know if he won. You know what? It's cool to be able to have to grind out a super tough decision, even in his hometown.
Against a KO artist, especially.
I think it's great.
So
awesome win. Congratulations.
Definitely an awesome win. What we have now is also more news. This is some news I broke. We have King of the Cage, Socorro, that took place this weekend. There were some very entertaining fights and a couple of fights in the year that took place there. So we'll have those recaps up on our website, actually, for the Socorro fights. There were tons of amateur and pro fights, so for us to go all of them, it'd take them a while to actually go. Originally, they had 22 fights scheduled, if you remember that.
Right.
And another card, KOTC, King of the Cage, will be taking place in Albuquerque. Cutting Edge, April 25th. John Rosema versus Dorian Dixon. Tim Sosa against Jordan Hernandez. So should be another entertaining card.
It's cool to see all these cards happening for these guys to getting these fights. It's awesome.
And they give pro fighters and really don't get a chance anywhere else, at least regionally in the Midwest and Southwest, a chance to actually fight. So,
absolutely.
Another thing that's going on this weekend. Saturday night in El Paso, Jennifer Hahn will be fighting for a world title. She, of course, will be taking on Helen Joseph for the vacant IBF World Female Featherweight title at the County Coliseum in El Paso, Texas. Jennifer Hahn, not just in El Paso, big name, but here we know about her well.
Absolutely, I'm excited, and I wish her the best. We're gonna have another champion,
Definitely. First El Paso-born champion in a while. Obviously, Austin Trout was born in El Paso, but he won it here in New Mexico. So best of luck to Jennifer Hahn. We'll keep you guys tuned in next week to see how she did. Let's jump into the highlights. It should be pretty good.
Highlights. You almost did.
Danny Garcia and Lamont Peterson, it's just a style of, you know, two guys that are pretty good boxers and just trying to time each other. It wasn't too awkward just because both guys are orthodox, but the crowd loved it. I mean, look how excited they were halfway through the bout. Peterson, a lot of people felt that he gave a lot of the early rounds away. Garcia stayed intact. I mean, let's not forget, Danny Garcia has received gifts as far as decisions in the past, but
Right.
you know, you have to fight the entire fight to be able to defeat, you know, the guy who's the favorite. Peter Quillen, Andy Lee. You like that? What do you think of that stepping of the foot?
That was dirty.
I mean, if you time it with a shot and then you knocked him down, more times than not, it's going to count as a knockdown. Am I wrong?
I
Look
mean,
at that.
I get that,
stepped
but
on his
you
foot.
stepped on his
He
foot.
caught him. The referee's looking up at the top, so that's what he saw. Andy Lee had a lot of success. He did come back and drop Peter Quillen, and despite being dropped 3 times, he got a draw out of it.
Yeah,
So
that's
very good
crazy.
comeback. Here we go. Puerto Rico pay-per-view. Rocky Martinez and Orlando Salido going at it. As you can see, nonstop. You have a brawler against a boxer. If the boxer has this much activity, I think he's going to win it against the brawler.
Absolutely.
Especially when the brawler's short-arming those shots. Look at that.
Boxing's always going to win out on a brawler.
Especially if you're a boxer and you're that active. So, again, Rocky Martinez, new WBO champion. Here's slow-motion shots of Mikro Kokop's elbows. He missed a huge over-the-top kick. A lot of pretty good rounding pound here against Gonzaga. It was just brutal to see him. The cut that was generated
It was
over
huge cut.
Gonzaga's
It was a
eye.
great
It was
stop.
incredible
Yeah,
gash
absolutely.
across the face. Does that scare you whenever you see any cuts like that, even
No.
though you see blood all the time? Look at that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's extreme bluto. Here we go. Locally, Josh Torres against Randy Ganoy. Randy Ganoy in the yellow trunks there. Here's another example of a fighter if he stays busy and he's boxing. You know, to Ganoy's defense, most of the fight wasn't like this. He did put on the pressure on Josh. Here they are in the 10th and final round, kind of, you know, trying to get the judge's decision there. Here we go.
And
Josh
that's where you
ultimately
really
won.
see it, right in the 10th round, like
Yeah.
who's going to be able to push at that point. So.
96-94, 96-94, 95-95, all in favor of Josh Torres, WBC, USMBC champion. I'm sure we'll see him more locally. So, you know, a lot of local action. Jennifer Hahn this weekend, again, for those of you that are in southern New Mexico and the El Paso area. But John Dodson, we got a teammate of yours. He's fighting on UFC 187. Stay tuned after the break. We'll have Little John with us.